And we're back. A dinosaur story. Okay. We've entered a rebirth of the Jurassic franchise. Not this one. But what I have to say is I saw this last night in ScreenX. And all I want to grab about first is when I buy the tickets, I got none but ads for ScreenX afterwards. I already got ScreenX because all I had. And there was a part where it shows, they're talking in a museum and it shows like the panorama on the side. But in the theater, it didn't do that. So that was my gripe about it. Anyways, Jurassic World Rebirth has came out. And first of all, there are some there's things about this movie that I was told and then it didn't happen and whatever. I remember like when this movie first was in talks or when I first heard about it, I heard so many different things. I heard people saying it was supposed to be like a remake of the first one. I heard it was going to be rated R. I heard a bunch of different things. I don't know what movie they're talking about. Later I come to find out, I was like, oh, this is PG-13. Okay. There's going to be kids in it. I'm like, oh my God. Like, there's just so much about it that I like, but big dinosaur. That's all I care about. Really. And then the trailer drops way too much in my opinion. Why are you showing this so early? Okay. Anyways, I had a lot of gripes about this movie before it even dropped, but I was going to see it anyway. You know why? Cause dinosaur. I'm a simple person. So you go see it. What's the plot of this, right? What is this even about? Was it worth going to go see? Is it going to be one of the best summer blockbusters of 2025? So the plot of the movie is basically you kind of get some backstory. InGen obviously did some crazy conundrums with their experimenting, which I already know. I watch Camp Cretaceous. I already know what kind of weird stuff they already be doing. And I guess they kind of, Jurassic World, that one talks about it. But anyways, one thing I will say, and I did enjoy this, is I love world building. I love knowing more about the world that we are set in, which this is something that you start seeing more in like the later Jurassic World movies, especially like I recently just watched Dominion, and in this one you learn how dinosaurs are starting to cohabitat. But ultimately in this one you learn that dinosaurs, they're not chilling here. The climate's too bad for them, disease and famine, all this stuff. So dinosaurs are only going to be living near the equator where the environment matches more what it was like back in the day, the Cretaceous, Jurassic, whatever. Different environment, different time. And I love that there was some explanation to that. I do enjoy that. I do love me some world building. Anyways, basic premise. There's a dude who's like, look, if we can get the dino DNA, we can make this miracle drug that's going to cure heart disease. We just need the dino DNA of these dinosaurs who were like had the largest hearts in existence. That's why we needed them. Something like that. Which, it wasn't the blue whale like the biggest animal that ever lived. So like, can you get the heart from that? But the dude is like, look, he's trying to sell this off to ScarJo here, which I'm going to say this. Seeing Scarlett Johansson in this movie was a little weird for me. And I'll be honest with you, she played Black Widow for years. That's what I basically know her from. I can't really, in the top of my head, think of any other movie she was in. I know she was in more movies. What was that? Lucy? Was that one? Ghost in the Shell? So it was kind of weird seeing her as anyone other than Black Widow. And also kind of doing like a mercenary type vibe thing. With that said, it was refreshing to see her in a different role. She's the guy, the pharmaceutical dude's like, telling her like, think of the world, think of the cures we can make for this, blah, 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 blah. Here's money, right? Which brings you to the part where the guy's selling off like, we're gonna save the world with this drug. Like, bro, I know how this works. You're gonna sell to the highest bidder. You're gonna squeeze the pockets of the people who really do need it. I mean, like, look, Ozempic's out there. Look, most of us can't afford Ozempic. We got actual like lung cancer vaccines in like Cuba, and like, we're not gonna get that. Like, you know what I mean? There are parts of the world that are finding ways to reroute DNA so you don't get like certain diseases, but like they ain't gonna be free here, is all I'm saying. With the guys like, think of the benefits. Well, I know it's not gonna work that way. Which brings me to the point of this movie. The villain is, people, I know some people say the villains are dinosaurs. No, they're just animals. Which I will say this about the Jurassic franchise. I always have beef of how like, I feel like more and more as time went on, they make the dinosaurs more like just monsters, which I guess technically they are created monsters. But I do want to see more of a, like, they're just animals, which I kind of feel like I got that more in this movie. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, the villain of this movie is corporate greed. It always has been. You go back to the first Jurassic Park. Well, they were like, even like the original book, John Hammond was not that great of a guy. He's not that guy. Corporate greed. First movie, corporate greed. Second one, corporate greed. They're gonna build a San Diego zoo, like, to make money, you know. And then the Jurassic World, we want bigger monsters, you know, to drive more revenue, you know. Black Market in a Fallen King and Dominion, we're destroying crops. The only one that didn't have that was 3, which that's why that's the best one. I'm not gonna elaborate further on that. Alan. But in fact, the more I watch movies recently, I've noticed that the corporate greed is like the villain of every movie. I was watching the Superman movies. Number 1, corporate greed. He's going to destroy like half of the California so he can have real estate, you know. Not this one. Third one, they were making a weather machine destroy crops to make more profit. Fourth one, you know, we'll start more war so we can make more profit. Like, it's the villain of like majority of movies, which I get it, but I feel like the only reason, now thinking about it, the only reason people defend this current system we live in is so they can keep using that as their villain. So if you actually got rid of it, they would actually have to start to be creative with their plots, because you have to find a reason why are they going to this island. Okay, I get it. Big business people be bad sometimes, but like, can we be creative of how we get to this island? Which cuts me to the other people who are along in the story, who we don't even really get to see in the trailer, if I'm being honest with you. So they get to the island. I will say this, up to that point, you get other crumbs of like other dinosaurs out there, like was it Dunkleteus? I can't even pronounce that, but I played it in this game. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. But like, yeah, they get to the island, or they get to the shore. They're not supposed to be there. It's blocked off government wise, but that's the drive of what they got there. You get this nerdy dude who's like, I've never been out in the field, but let's go out there now. Arguably, probably in my opinion, one of the best characters in this movie. I really like this character, although he does look like someone I know who I don't like, so that kind of does it for me, but that's a personal gripe. Anyways, but that's the drive of the get in the movie, which is, you know, it's kind of a drive, I guess, in majority of these movies, how we get there. I mean, technically even in the third one, that's kind of the drive, but like they went there for other reasons. There's a rescue mission, right? So yeah, but then we get this whole entirely different family who's just sailing on the ocean and who just happened to clash in between our main characters. And I'll be honest with you, it was interesting but weird, because you get to a point where you kind of have two movies playing out. You're following this family who's trying to get to this point, and then you're following the science mercenary team who are trying to gather their thing. They meet up, they split. Well, like they get their boat attacked. This dude's a jerk, but later I guess he gets kind of cool, so I'll give him that. They're like on some family trip. You have some vague things of like, you know, what's going on between the family dynamic, but they get hunted by the Mosasaurus. They get their boat towed over. They survive. They get picked up. Cool scene though of the team, the science mercenary team trying to get the DNA from the Mosasaurus. It's pretty dope. Spinosaurus came and hunting them, and this is where, like I said, I like seeing dinosaurs actually act like animals, like almost like a pack. Like, look, we got the biblically accurate Spinosaurus, which was pretty dope. I know this thing got an upgrade every few years, right? You know, a DLC, so to speak, a bug patch, right? So pretty dope. You got 4 of these or whatever, so I'm eating good. One of my favorite dinosaurs. Anyways, they crash on the island. Some people get eaten. It's a tragedy. If you survive, they go out hunted. But like I said, now you follow these two groups who are doing their own thing. And I might add, okay, like I said, we have the drive to get these people on the island for whatever stupid reason that is. But the family being there, they kind of just happen to be there, which I'll be honest with you, I think you could make a movie off that. If am I crazy to say that? Like, let's say you have the plot here. So you have this family or this group who, like, they're on this trip to maybe bond for some reason. Like, I guess the premise here, you have this father and his 2 daughters, a young one and a bit older one who's probably like she's going to college. She's probably a young adult who's dating this guy who's kind of like he seems like a jerk. And you could make a movie where throughout this entire process, they kind of get to know each other better and understand each other. You learn that the boyfriend who's a jerk, he's actually just kind of insecure, but he's actually a decent guy. His girlfriend got like kicked off the boat by this creepy dude, and he jumped to save her. In a Spinosaurus infested water, he would have done nothing. They would have gotten alive. But bro did that for his woman. You know what I mean? Like, that's the opposite of the ick, right? All I'm saying. And then the father's like, look, you did that for my daughter. You know, that's dope. He's a little weird. He's a little off, but like, he's got heart. You know what I mean? You could make a movie where going through this jungle, dinosaur infested island, they bond together and learn more about each other. That could be a movie. You don't need like some crazy like reason for these people to be on. You could just be like, hey, we were on a boat. We crash. Now we're on this island, and I would even call Jurassic World Rebirth. I feel like you could. I feel this movie did not deserve the Jurassic World title because first of all, Jurassic Park. Those three movies are its own. It's like Star Wars, right? There's different trilogies. There's like the prequel, sequel, right? That's its own trilogy. Jurassic World's its own trilogy. I don't think you could have gave this the Jurassic World name. You know, Rebirth, I don't understand why is it Rebirth really, considering all the dinosaurs are dying off. Maybe my brain's not working today to think deeply into that. I think you could have called this Jurassic Island or something like that. Jurassic Love Island. But like, yeah, and then throughout the movie, you see these people kind of did that, but they could have really focused it in more to kind of give that more human aspect to it. Like, the dinosaurs are just there to help these people bond and get past their insecurities, traumas, you know, their fears, their anxiety, right? That's what you could have done. Anyways, I will say the strong suits of this movie is when you just see the dinosaurs. That's like, it's magical. It makes me whelp up too. Like this dude. This dude was one of the most authentic characters I've seen in a while in like recent movies. Bro was crying when he touched this dinosaur. And I get it. I think I'd be crying too. That would be if like Godzilla came to existence and was sleeping at the beach and I went up to touch him. I would cry too. That's how that dude felt. And I felt that as I was watching it. There are kids in this movie. Actually, there was a lot of kids in my theater, and I'm surprised none of them cried. I guess kids are built different nowadays, because, you know, I know some people who be me. I saw Jurassic Park 3 when I was a child. I didn't cry, but I was terrified. Then again, I digress. That's probably the most magical part of the movie. Also, we got to see other dinosaurs that we don't normally see. Like, I can't pronounce these names. Quasquetzalcoatl. Yeah, that's technically not a dinosaur. It's a pterosaur. I don't want the nerds coming at me. But yeah, it was cool seeing those scenes. It was a bit weird that we didn't get some of the, raptors have been a big part of Jurassic Park franchise for a long time. It was probably one of the first movies that I saw that they kind of took a step back. You only see them like in one scene when this dude's peeing, right? And they get ambushed by some giant not bird, but the mutated dinosaur. We'll that in a minute. But the T-Rex was there. That was a pretty cool scene. I think that was one of the most highlighted scenes because I've heard it takes inspiration from the original book because there was like a river scene. I know that from what I remember. But I will say this, seeing in Screen X was cool. I know I had my complaint about it earlier, but like it was kind of cool seeing like the size of it. I did feel immersed watching it in Screen X. Anyways, so they go through the trials of getting all the samples through the swimming creature, land creature, flying creature. It felt like a video game of like, we got to collect all these samples before we get back to the base. So they do all that. The family goes through their trials and they all make it to this base where there's supposed to be like a helicopter dropping down. The movie really drives home that there are these mutated dinosaurs on this island. This is the screwy site where this happens, right? And you kind of look, this is where the movie, like, I was like, look, you drive home that's the brand, right? There's mutated dinosaurs, but you don't really get that to the very end, you know? And that's it was a little disappointing in my opinion. It would be interesting as time progressed, they got more mutated as they went deeper into the island. It would have been interesting. Because look, I've watched like Camp Cretaceous, and that's where like I really saw some more mutated dinosaurs. The Scorpius Rex one. Which, when I was watching this movie, right, I was taken out of it a little bit. Look, the D-Rex, I think it was called, the Rancor, whatever, it didn't feel like a dinosaur to me. I don't know what I was watching. It felt like, it didn't even feel like a kaiju, like I would see in like a kaiju movie, right? I mean, it was kind of like it kind of reminded me like the Predator face, but also kind of reminded me of like a Mutos. Like, I don't know, it was weird. It was just weird. It was weird for me. Like these not birds, but like these pterosaur, raptor, whatever, mosasaurus looking dinosaurs, that felt like a mutated dinosaur to me, and they were pretty terrifying too. And it was nice to see them in the kind of grocery store or whatever. It did feel like the raptor scene from the first movie, but I don't know. Like I said, I watched Camp Cretaceous. For those who watch it, there is the Scorpius Rex. That thing was terrifying. For a kids show, that thing was terrifying. That thing was horrific, but it also felt like a dinosaur to me. But that dinosaur felt so twisted. It felt like it was being tortured by its existence, and that's why it was so deranged. And that to me felt like a mutated dinosaur that was just messed up. So I could see the potential of mutated dinosaurs, right? I could see where it could go, and I didn't get more of that. Like, and the thing was like this D-Rex, the thing was gigantic, like, but also like, I don't know, it felt flat for me. I feel like they could have been more creative with the mutations of dinosaurs. Look, I played the Jurassic Evolution game. There are more creative mutations in that game than they are, I think, in this movie. Like, you could have had the Spinosaurus T-Rex, you know what I mean? They could have had it. I mean, and you could have had them fight each other. That's another thing. I want to see dinosaurs fighting too. Like, the T-Rex just like fighting the D-Rex, that would have been cool. Look, in the first one, T-Rex and the Raptors fought. Third one, the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex fought. The last one, I can't remember this name of this thing, but it fought the Giganotosaurus or whatever. I want to see dinosaurs fighting. It's cool. I will say this: the Rex could have got destroyed by the T-Rex. Look, if you think about it, the T-Rex, I feel like, has always, except for like the first one, I feel like the T-Rex has always like got help. You know what I mean? It got help in the last one. It got help in the in Jurassic World against the Indominus Rex. Like I said, the only time it didn't get help was in the first one, which, you know, T-Rex had to be the winner of that one, right? Third one got cooked. Spinosaurus soloed. Anyways, so in the end of it all, like I've always mentioned, how does a movie make me feel? How do I determine if I enjoyed a movie? And it's usually, did it make me feel? And the moments I said I felt is like when we kind of saw the family bond a bit more. And the part of the movie where I felt the most emotional is when Mahershala Ali, what's his name? Almost dies. Like he's like, because in the movie they set up like, oh, I don't want to die. He's like, I don't want to die in the jungle, because I hate the jungle. When they're having the whole speech of like our doctor here, Henry was like, look, 99% of the species on this planet is dead. So at some point the Earth is gonna be done with us, which is just a sad reality, right? Like, it's like when you're 12 and you learn that the sun will explode one day. It's gonna happen eventually. Not my lifetime, at least I don't think it is, but it's gonna happen eventually. With that said, that's a whole other part of the movie that I found is one of those like wake up calls, I guess, you know, to the horrors of what the Earth has done to its inhabitants. But it's gotta heal itself every once in a while, I guess. A cleanse, as you may say. But that's Mother Nature for you. She could be beautiful, she could be a baddie, right? Anyways, so he says, I don't want to die in the jungle. So like when he's almost about to die in the jungle, I was like, I'm sad. I don't want him to die. He's like one of my favorite characters. He's the only character who like, one of the only few characters, my bad, who like wants everyone to kind of go home. Especially, he's really there for the kids. I guess you allude that his son dies, so he really wants these kids to get home. And I love that about him. I love that about his character. It's a very attractive trait, I must say. Anyway, he survives, which is great. The Rancor or whatever, he just lures it to the jungle, and then he, I guess, swims away. Yeah. And then it's the riding off to the sunset, like most movies, and it's and that's the end of the movie. We don't know if they'll get eaten with Spinosaurus. But then the one of the driving points of the movie was, okay, you can take the money, make a lot of money off this drug you're gonna make, right? Or, as a doctor here says to ScarJo, you can give it to the world. Which I don't know how that looks like. Like, we're gonna open source this bad boy. You know, this tech belongs to the universe or whatever, and I don't know what it's gonna look like. I don't know if like the CIA is gonna get involved and be like, no, you're making a water car, you're making free heart disease medicine. We don't like that. Don't know how that's gonna work out, but I hope it does make it. I hope that they get the heart disease, and you know, maybe they'll expand on that in Chaos Theory season, was it 5? My Jesus Christ, that show just keeps going. I have gripes about that show, but like I said, the movie wasn't perfect. But big dinosaur. I think that's my driving selling point. Big dinosaur. That's who you really come to see. Like I said, I'll never stop beating Godzilla points at the end. You don't care about the humans. You care about the monsters, the kaijus. So in the sense, you care about big dinosaur. And the big dinosaurs were dope. But there was a sense of this movie that felt empty to me. And I don't know if it's because my mind was diverted into two storylines that kind of came together towards the end and the beginning. Yeah, so I think they could have done better. And I don't know where the franchise can go from here. Like, they can only milk this so much more. They've already stated that dinosaurs are dying off. So if they make another movie, which, considering how this industry goes, you know damn well at some point they're going to make another movie. I don't know where it's going to go. You said the dinosaurs have died off pretty much. They're only living on the equator. Your only option is to get someone on the island again. But how many more times can you get people on that damn island? How much more corporate greed is going to get people on that damn island? Like I said, you need a plot line where people just end up there just by chance. It can happen in the world. Yeah, I've heard stories of like, look, my boat crashed. I'm stranded in the ocean. I'm stranded somewhere. Look at Castaway. It was just an accident. One of the best movies of all time. What if you made a Castaway-like movie with Jurassic Park? That would be interesting. Where you have to survive on this island. You don't know if you're going to get home or not. And you see elements of that kind of there. Like, I think it would be cool. Look, in Jurassic Park 3, you have this kid who's stuck on this island. What if you made a movie about like what his life was like on that island? You know what I mean? You just he was on that island for a long time, a very long time. You made a movie just of that. Like, what was that movie, 65 million years? That was an interesting concept. I don't think it did well, but some more stuff like that. This survival horror, that'd be an interesting concept. And you end the movie where, like, I don't know, maybe he hears that cell phone with the Nokia ringtone or whatever, and that's how you end the movie. And that's when you know, like, oh, he hears like people he's familiar with, right? Something like that. It would be cool. It'd be dope. Come on, be creative. Be creative. That's all I need, is you to be creative. Other than that, they're just gonna reboot the entire series again and remake the first movie, which I don't think I'd be upset. But I guarantee you, there at some point in my life, there's gonna be another Jurassic Park movie, Jurassic World movie, whatever. It's gonna happen. I can foresee the future now. That's my rant. Anyways, I got 2 more big movies this month. Let's go. Let's get it done. The summer blockbusters are almost done. After that, I don't know where my content's going. At least until, like, I don't know, that Bruce Springsteen movie's coming out. Whatever. Choose out.